Hey everybody, I want to talk about sort of a revelation I had a few days ago when helping somebody decode a text message from their narcissistic ex. Generally in digital messages like emails, text messages, instant messages, sometimes it's kind of hard to read intent. Specifically because they will write things that can have double meanings, double interpretations. So when you read the message, you can sort of hear it in your head in whatever tone of voice that you think that they're speaking in. They will write it so that later on, when you call them out on their bullshit, they say, I wasn't mad when I wrote that. No, I was just asking, Yeah, I wasn't mad. I was just asking, what the fuck was wrong with you, but I wasn't angry. They give you something like that. So I want to sort of offer some clues, some very telling, distinguishing clues on text messaging, instant messaging, emails, that sort of thing. The number one indicator that you can tell is their use of punctuation. The question mark and the exclamation mark are the two to look for. The reason is it's when you see more than one, that repetition of the double question mark, or the double exclamation mark, or even the triple, quadruple, or whatever comes, pentuplet, I don't know. More than two. So if they have a long message and you see a double question mark or a double exclamation mark, and it's just like one instance of it, maybe don't worry too much. But if you start seeing it used a lot, what does this mean? Think about, for example, let's just ignore any of the words, because I'm sure a message that you recently received comes to mind right away, right? So just clear that out of your head. Let's just think strictly about the typing of it. When you see repeated punctuation, it's a hammering motion, like a pounding, like a beating, okay? Tap, 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 taparoo, They're hammering away at you. They're pounding away at you. They're taking out their aggression, or they're mad, or they're wanting to punish. So it doesn't matter what the message is, they're hammering and pounding away, which means they're not concerned. It means they don't care. It means that they're not, in the case of co-parents, for example, they'll often accuse you of, child abuse or some random stuff, and then they like pound, right? It means they're going to pound you into submission, is what they're interested in. That's their only interest. They're not actually really concerned about their kids, unfortunately. Well, I should say your kids. You all's children. No, it's strictly something that meant to beat you down. They're beating you down with their keyboard. It's a limbic response. I have recently been reading Joe Navarro's book on body language called What Every Body Is Telling You. And so that's kind of sort of where this idea is coming from. It's a pounding, repetitive motion. And you're not mistaken when you read it and you hear that condescending voice. You're not wrong when you hear that angry voice. You're not wrong. Because normal people just don't use repetitive, pounding punctuation. They just don't. Plus, you're not an idiot. You're not stupid. You know this person, right? You know they have malicious intent. So anytime they're they're sending you threats or saying they're going to do something or asking, why. And you see this repeated punctuation. That's what they're doing. Psychologically, the point of the message is they're beating you down in their mind at the moment that they write it. They may very well not even care about whatever response you receive, except for the fact that they get to pound you down virtually again, right? So it's just the act of beating you down, because sometimes they can't hit you physically, they can't hurt you physically, they're not in the same space, so they're going to physically hurt the phone and take it out on the phone, right? So even if they're trying to have a mostly nice message, you look for the double or the repeated punctuation, and that's a sign that they want to beat you down. Now, in addition to this, especially if it's the question mark, okay? The question mark and the repeated question mark serves one major purpose. They're going to extract the truth from you. So they're nosy. They want to find out what's going on. Most crooked people know that if you just directly ask somebody to be honest, like if you're mad at somebody, just think about this. When your kids misbehave, when your kids do something wrong, and you get upset as a parent, and you're like, who did this? They don't want to give the answer, right? Or whenever you hear, by default, when somebody's upset, somebody's upset, the people they're upset at know better than to give a direct answer, right? Because you immediately feel like you screwed up. So when they get mad, if they were to try and get mad at you about something legitimate, chances are your initial reaction would be to lean towards some deception. So the technique that narcissists and manipulators will use is, rather than being direct, there's no better way to get the actual truth than to accuse somebody wrongfully. So when you accuse somebody of something wrongfully and get mad and angry, that changes the dynamic. See, now you are not being confronted about something you did. You're being blamed for something you did not do. And that's huge. That's huge. There's a big difference. When you're wrongfully accused, your initial reaction is to immediately stand up for yourself and exonerate yourself, right? Well, most of us, Some of us have yet to learn this lesson, that when you're wrongfully accused of something, it's not always your responsibility to make sure your accuser's not wrong, right? In other words, if you're wrongfully accused, there's probably no harm in just letting them be wrong. Ever think about that? What is the consequence if I allow you to be wrong? Oh, well, it actually works out to your favor. Oh, well, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So when you're being wrongfully accused, you don't want to necessarily confirm it. But if they live every day of their life, if you're going through a divorce or something, or a breakup, if you allow them to be wrong and stay wrong, well, then you know that they're wrong, and the truth does eventually come out. Okay, that's I've talked about smear campaigns before, and how it just takes time, and you have to trust people's ability to see and recognize bullshit, right? So they're going to make accusations, false accusations, try and back you in a corner. They'll triangulate against your friends, co-workers, etc. Let them be wrong. and put faith in other people to see through bullshit. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to correct the record. Let them be wrong. Instead of giving them more details that they can work with, because that's the other thing. If you make the mistake of trying to clear the record and clear your name, what are you going to do? They're going to find something truthful that they can then be angry about. See, if they want to be angry about something, but they got nothing, they wrongly accuse you. You go to set the record straight. Then they find something that actually happened, or something that's factual because you said it. And then they have something legitimate to be angry about, and they shift to that. So that's the secret. If they want to be mad at you, they want to beat you down, they want to attack you, but they don't really know anything because you left, y'all broke up, or you're going through a divorce, and they need something. They're going to hurl false accusations at you until you set the record straight with something that they can then find some sort of twisted fault with, and then they attack you on that front. And then then you'll sit there and try to set the record straight on that, and then they'll do it again. Every time you set the record straight, they find something to twist. So then you set the record straight, and they find something to twist. So you set the record straight, and they find something to twist. Over and over and over. Now, think about this. What's better? What is better? Being in a perpetual state of conflict where you will never exonerate yourself, or simply don't set the record straight and let them be wrong once at the very beginning. If they're wrong, let them be wrong, because then that's a whole conversation that just never happens, right? To save yourself the trouble. And it can all start by first looking at punctuation. The punctuation, the repeated punctuation, is a dead giveaway for someone who's mentally looking for beating somebody down. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this. So how do you respond? Like, if you ignore it, if you don't want to ignore it, going no contact doesn't always work. Gray rock doesn't always work. My best advice, always, proudly wear the title of X. So be like, well, especially if you're, divorced or remarried, or they have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you say, well, I see you're back to texting your ex. I see, looks like I can see you're gunning for a fight with your ex. Obviously, things didn't go your way with your relationship. I'm guessing a breakup. You're either too broke to go out on a date, or he's too broke to take you out on a date, or that date you wanted didn't happen. And so now here you are on a Friday night texting your ex. Damn, you used to not be this pathetic. What happened? Why are you this pathetic now? You were never this pathetic when we were together. And call them pathetic for texting their ex. I see you're back to yelling at your ex because you're either broke, or you don't have a date, or you don't have a date because you're broke. So now you're just taking it out by venting at your ex. Get a life. So thank you very much. Please like, comment, or share. I want to hear what you think about this. And I'll see you on the next video.